The deepest part of your character was set in place early on in life. Genetics determined how your brain was wired, and your tendencies toward extroversion or introversion were already seen a few months after birth. The first few years of your life continued to add to the foundation of your character. You began to repeat certain strategies, actions, and decisions as you learned to navigate through life. The more often you repeated a thought, the stronger and deeper the neural pathway in your brain grew, making that thought easier to repeat. Those thoughts became unconscious habits and your character was formed. Your character is set. Now, you have a choice between one of two options as to your character. The first choice is ignorance and denial. You can revolt against the idea that your character was set early in life and that it compels you to act in a certain way. You imagine that you can take the same path to power, fame or success as anyone else. You admire your heroes and try to be like them, following the path they took, doing what they did, acting like them. But you cannot move against the grain of your character. You can only be yourself. We all come from different circumstances, each person's character is unique as a fingerprint. This was the problem for Howard Hughes. He fancied himself a great businessman when in fact he was an irrational micromanager, a control freak whose business ventures lost money. The profitable parts of his empire were those spun off from the tool company built by his father. The patterns of Hughes' own business failures were easy to see, but he created an image that fooled the public. Howard Hughes' real talent was in design and engineering. If he had accepted the truth of his character, he could have had a brilliant career in aircraft design, while hiring someone else to run the business side of the company. His image of himself did not line up with his character, and this led to a pattern of failures and a tormented life. The second choice takes work, but is the only path to true personal power. It begins by examining yourself as thoroughly as possible. Are you an introvert or an extrovert? What subjects and activities are you good at and naturally drawn to? Reflect on the nature of your attachment to your parents when you were young, and the quality of your relationships today. Be honest and objective, looking at your past mistakes that have held you back. Do you see patterns in your mistakes, failures and problems? Look at your limitations, those situations you don't do well in. And what do you see as the natural strengths of your character? Now, with this awareness, you can be free from the pattern of strategies and failures that are driven by your character. You can catch yourself if you see yourself falling into one of these patterns, and with practice weaken their effect. Knowing your limitations, you will not try to take on things you have no disposition or talent for, but will instead find career paths that fit your natural inclinations and strengths. You don't try and become someone else, instead you want to be more completely yourself. The first step toward change is awareness. The second step is acceptance. You embrace your character as it is, working with it, not fighting against it. This means embracing your weaknesses instead of hiding them. Your flaws become the true source of your power as you learn to channel them into strengths. For example, if you are a perfectionist or control freak, redirect your high standards and attention to detail toward productive work, instead of harassing other people. If you are a compulsive people pleaser, your charm is a social skill that can be controlled to attain great power. If you are highly sensitive, you can work to redirect this into empathy for positive social impact. And if you are of a rebellious character, you can channel this into innovative work, instead of compulsively alienating others. The point is, for every weakness there is a corresponding strength. Finally, you need to cultivate those traits that go into a strong character. Resilience under pressure, attention to detail, the ability to complete things, to work with a team, to be tolerant of people's differences, the ability to adapt and be flexible. You cultivate these traits by working on your habits. For instance, deliberately placing yourself in stressful situations in order to get used to them. In boring everyday tasks, purposely trying to be more patient and give greater attention to detail. Deliberately taking on tasks that are slightly above your level, which will make you work harder so you develop more discipline and better work habits. Searching out and associating with those who have a strong character so you become more like them, picking up their habits. And now and then, deliberately shaking yourself up by trying a new strategy or doing something in a different way than you normally would, which will develop flexibility in your character. Good character takes time and patience to develop. You create strong character little by little, day by day. The inner life, our character, shapes our outer life. Our character becomes our destiny. You can learn to stop negative patterns, transform the weak aspects of your character into strengths, and you can shape your character by forming new habits that will change the direction of your destiny.